Krishna, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Welcome to Amritvani program. Her Grace Yamuna Swarup Mataji will be giving the transcendental words of wisdom, and Rameshwar Nayak Prabhuji will be reading the Namamrit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Although the chanting the holy name is sufficient for perfection, one should receive Brahmanical initiation for purification. If one is interested in the process of Archana, one must positively take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and learn the process from him. There are many books for Archana, especially Narada Pancharatra. In this age, the Pancharatra system is particularly recommended for Archana, deity worship. There are two systems of Archana, the Bhagavata system and the Pancharatrike system. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, please reduce the fonts. Reduce the font, Martin. Font size is increased. Reduce the. Okay, I will reduce it now. Just hold on, I will reduce the font. Yeah. There are two systems of Archana, the Bhagavata system and Panchakriti system. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no recommendation of the Panchakriti worship because in this Kali Yuga, even without deity worship, everything can be perfectly performed simply through hearing, chanting, remembering, and worship of the lotus feet of Lord. The special purpose of the deity worship is to keep oneself always pure and clean. The deity worship should be continued along with the hearing of and chanting. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can reach the platform of love of Godhead. One might ask then, what is the necessity of being initiated? The answer is that even though the chanting of the holy name is sufficient to enable one to progress in the spiritual life to the standard of love Godhead, one is nonetheless susceptible to contamination because of possessing a material body. Consequently, special stress is given to the Archana Vidhi. One should therefore regularly take advantage of both Bhagavata process and the Panchakriti process. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5 to point 23 and 24. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. श्री श्री राधा रास बिहारी की जय, श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान की जय, श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय. All glories to assembled devotees. So here we can understand that what is the condition in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are generally short-living, extremely bad in their habits, inclined to accept methods of devotional service which are not bona fide. So moreover, they are always disturbed by material conditions and they are mostly unfortunate. So under the circumstances, the performance of other processes such as yajna, dan, tapakriya, all those sacrifices, charity and so they are not possible. Therefore, it is recommended Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. Kalau nastir eva nastir eva nastir eva katiranyatha. So, in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. And there is no other way, there is no other way. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one advances perfectly in spiritual life. It is the best process for success in life. In other ages, the chanting was equally powerful, but especially in the Kali Yuga, it is most powerful. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is liberated and returns home back to Godhead. Therefore, even if one is able to perform other processes of devotional service, one must adopt the chanting of the holy name as the principal method of advancing in spiritual life. Those who are very sharp in their intelligence should adopt this process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. One should adhere seriously to the chanting of the holy name as it is recommended in the scriptures. Like Prabhupada always said that one must follow the scriptures as it is. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. While chanting this holy name of the Lord, one should be careful also of the 10 offenses. And when one is freed from the offensive life, he takes shelter of the Lord's holy name. So one should be careful not to commit offenses. One understands that in Navada Bhakti, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So one have to understand that when we are doing Archanam, Vandanam, so Archanam, first we begin with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, which itself is combined in the chanting process. When we are doing the chanting, all these three bhakti, they happen to come together in this. And Smaranam, it awakens our Krishna consciousness in a better way. Similarly, talking of Pada Sevanam, according to one's taste and strength, hearing, chanting, and remembrance. So, one should follow the Pada Sevanam. One obtains the perfection of remembering when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. Being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. When one is perfectly adherent to the process of Pada Sevanam, this process gradually includes other processes, such as seeing the form of the Lord, touching the form of the Lord, circumambulating the form or temple of the Lord, visiting such places as Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, and Mathura, Vrindavan, to see the Lord's form, and bathing in the Ganges or Yamuna. Bathing in the Ganges and serving a pure Vaishnava are also known as Tadiya Upasanam. This is also called Pada Sevanam. The word Tadiya means in relationship with the Lord. Service to the Vaishnava, Tulsi, Ganges, and Yamuna are included in Pada Sevanam. All these processes of Pada Sevanam help one's advance in spiritual life very quickly. Now, here in this, there is more emphasis on the Archanam process. So let us know what is Archanam. After Pada Sevanam comes the process of Archanam, worshipping of the deity. If one is interested in the process of Archanam, one must positively take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Here it is a must to take shelter of like bona fide spiritual master and learn the process from him. There are many books for Archanam, and understanding them, one often wonders that how we can do it very nicely. There are two systems of Archanam, that is deity worship, the Bhagavatam system and Pancharatrika system. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no recommendation of Pancharatrika worship because in this Kali Yuga, even without deity worship, everything can be perfectly performed simply through hearing. That is, hearing, chanting, remembering, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and then Pada Sevanam, worshipping of the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami states that Pancharatrika Maharaj Parikshit Maharaj attained salvation simply by hearing, and Shukadev Goswami attained salvation simply by chanting. Prahlad Maharaj attained salvation by remembering the Lord, that is Vishnu Smaranam. The goddess of fortune Lakshmi Devi attained perfection by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet. Prithu Maharaj attained salvation by worshipping the deity of the Lord. Akrura Maharaj. Akrura attained salvation by offering prayers. Hanumanji attained by rendering service. Arjuna, that is Hanumanji, was doing the Dasyam Seva. Arjuna by Sakha, by establishing friendship with the Lord. And Bali Maharaj by offering everything, Atmanivedanam, to the service of the Lord. All these great devotees serve the Lord according to a particular process, but every one of them attained salvation and became eligible to return home back to Godhead. So, it is therefore recommended that initiated devotees follow the principles of Narada Pancharatra by worshipping the deity in the temple, that is Archanam. Especially for householder devotees who are opulent in material possessions, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. An opulent holder devotee, that is householder, does not engage his hard-earned money, everything in the Lord's seva. If he does that, then he's called a miser. Always something should be engaged in the service of Lord's seva. One should not be engaged in one should not engage paid brahmanas to worship the deity. If one does not personally worship the deity but engages paid servants instead, he is considered lazy and his worship of the deity is called artificial. So all these things are understood in how to worship the deity. And in our Krishna conscious movement, there are brahmacharis, grihasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. But the deity worship in the temple should be performed especially by the householders. The brahmacharis can go with the sannyasis to preach, and the vanaprasthas should prepare themselves for the next status of renounced life, that is sannyas. Grihastha devotees, however, are generally engaged in material activities and therefore they do not take to deity worship. Their falling down is, if they do not take to this deity worship, their falling down becomes so much possible, so much assured. So, what is deity worship? Deity worship means following the rules and regulations precisely that will keep one steady in devotional service and serving the Lord, besides engaging in family life. Grihastha devotees must adopt the Archana Vidhi or deity worship according to the suitable arrangements and directions given by the spiritual master. Regarding those unable to take the deity worship in the temple, there is the following statement in the Agni Puran. Any householder devotee circumstantially unable to worship the deity must at least see the deity worship, and in this way he may achieve success also. The special purpose of deity worship is to keep oneself pure and clean. Grihastha devotees should be actual examples of cleanliness. Lots of it is given about deity worship in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So one must follow the method of deity worship by chanting also, and along with chanting, everything has to be followed. So one should therefore regularly take advantage of both the Bhagavat process and Pancharatrika process. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Rup Vilas Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.